Hi there and welcome. These are your handover videos for your Swift Sprite Major 4SB. This one is a dealer special Celebrate from Glossop. Doesn't really make any difference to the insides, however these are a basic walkthrough on how to use it. So first up, got your black hitch head here and black lever that you have to have pulled up like so to then be able to wind down the jockey wheel onto the tow bar, causing this to snap down, pushing up this red button and exposing a green ring. You then have a breakaway cable here. Now legality states if you have an eye point it has to be used, if not wrap it around the tow bar. Handbrake, to disengage press down, and to engage flick up. They can come up with a fair bit of force as well, so do be wary of that. You've got 13 pin electric, so if you do have 7 pin adaptation, make sure to bring yourself an adapter. And then jockey wheel sits up inside the actual A-frame whilst travelling. We're using test equipment today, so I have a red propane gas bottle just here with an in-date gas hose connected onto it. Black gas hoses will run for 5 years, orange will run for 10. That connects onto this regulator just here. Now what you'll want to do is hand tighten that as much as physically possible and then nip it up using a spanner. You don't want it ridiculously tight, as that's going to put excessive pressure onto the O-ring that's inside the hose. Too much pressure causes it to crack and break. Once both sides are firmly connected, twist the gas bottle in the positive or open direction. 2 points either side, 2 points at the back, you have inserts for your legs. Now the caravan itself comes with a leg winder, or alternatively you can grab yourself a 19mm drill bit and a power drill just to make it that bit quicker. Just here we have your flow. Your flow is used to get clean air in and out of your boiler when operating on gas. Don't have to do anything with this except make sure it's nice, clean and tidy. I've got an aqua here full of clean drinking water and your water pump. Now this works on a trigger system, so to remove it, press in on the trigger and pull out. Now I would recommend as well occasionally lubricating those seals. You have this blue cap to go over the top of the aqua to ensure no nastiness gets in, and then at the bottom we have your strainer. Now it's crucial that the strainer sits at the bottom of the barrel to allow the maximum potential of water to come through. As you can see, previous owners have fitted some white PVC tubing because these are renowned for curling up. So it can just sit nice and evenly at the bottom of the barrel, and then to engage it in, press it in and it will click in. Battery box. This example doesn't have the battery fitted, however it's on clip snaps on this one, so they're easy enough to fit. Then you have your plug-in for your mains just here, which goes in nice and simple just up there. Motor mover will be gone over on collection. You have 2 points here where your wastewater is going to come out of. You'll need some 28.5mm waste pipe to feed into a waste master that you can empty out at the appropriate point on site. And then lastly we have your toilet function. So first up you have your flush tank. You feed water through here, usually with like a watering can or something similar. This has a capacity of around 12 litres, however I wouldn't recommend putting in any more than 10 as you don't want to overfill it. You could also add some pink chemical which works as a bleach without being corrosive and makes it smell nicer. If you are using pink chemical you need less than a capful per 10 litres as it's very concentrated, and pretty much if you put too much in it will sludge and the cogs won't turn. This here is your cassette. To remove it, press up on the handle and pull out towards you. Now this handle as well does extend out and up, so it could be used similar to a carry-on suitcase. What you'll want to do is twist this head to the side, open up this cap like so. You'll then want to tilt, and at the same time as tilting, continually pressing that vent button. As you can see, I've filled it with some fresh water. And I do so by opening up this compartment, shutting it back up, give it a shake and again tilt and vent just so it smells a bit nicer. And on this cap here you have measurements in both imperial and metric, and that is for your blue chemical. Blue chemical goes into there, twist the head back to the side and then push it in so the orange handle sits behind those white teeth. Now you don't want to travel with either of these too full, so just up here got a little bung to drain off any remaining water from the system. The caravan itself will be fully drained off before you leave with it. Then underneath your right hand side seat you have all of this here. You have your boiler that you can expose by pulling up this panel just there. You have your 2 flow jets, which is what's going to pull through the actual water into the boiler itself, which is all through these blue leads. Now, as you can see here, you have this yellow valve. That is your drain valve. When it's facing in the upright position as it is now, that is allowing it to drain off. When you want water to come through, you flick it down. It can be down either side. Now, this is also how you're going to collect the caravan with it in the upright position. November to March, have it up permanently unless you're actively using the caravan, and anytime you come off site, give the caravan a drain off. You don't want water in the system when it's cold, you don't want water in the system whilst you're travelling, both of which can do a lot of damage. You have this blue box here, which is the equivalent of your brain box for your motor mover. Don't have to do anything with this, but if you ever need to do a reset, you can expose that panel. You have this silver box on the side, which is your battery charger. You have your trips and your fuses up there. All your trips in the upright position and all your fuses in the correct position. I'd always recommend carrying some extra fuses across the van. Heating and hot water and charger are both illuminated, showing that they're both working. You then have a reverse polarity setting if you ever go abroad, and a complete system shutdown button. Press that in, nothing inside the van is able to operate. Now, if you do need some more information on your trips and fuses, you can pull down this panel and it gives you some information. Either that or have a look inside your book packs. Then just here we have your Swift command panel. So you've got this main on and off button just here. It shows you internal and external temperatures, which is currently 28 in the van, 26 outside. Humidity, which is saying 42%. Now, when they first rolled out this Swift command system, which was around 2020-ish, the humidity sensors were renowned for not being the most accurate, so do not worry about that. You then got the date and the time, which you just need to set, and then also the charge. Then below it, we have a couple of selection buttons. So first up is pump. Now the pump makes sure that the drain valve's in the correct position and that you're all plugged in. We then have awning light. So we'll press in on awning light and we'll check outside and we can see awning light is on. We then have lighting. Now for light, you have dimmer 1 and dimmer 2. As you can see, they represent different parts. You can then dim the light. So I'm just going to go down gradually. You can individually tap or you can press and hold. You can see that's at its lowest. And then let's go back up to its highest. And then to turn the lights off, press in on the middle. Power. This shows 14.1 volts is coming from the leisure battery. However, there's no leisure battery on this. This is purely coming from the mains. Nothing from solar, nothing from vehicle. Then shows the AC current, where you can also set a limit. Settings. This is your general settings. Time, date, day, screen brightness, screen timeout, Bluetooth pairing, key beep, so when you press in it's going to make a beep noise, and night mode. Now those are general settings, and then you can press and hold in on the settings button and you come to advanced settings. Now for this, I would not recommend playing about with any of this, to be honest, because we have set this to the most user-friendly panel. However, if you did want to have a look, by all means go in your book packs. However, these red parts where have been non-selected, like fridge, heater, aircon, show and start and ATC, do not mess about with them, because what you could do is sync like the fridge to the panel. However, all that ends up happening is it trips out, so don't bother. And then radio. So for radio, standard sort of radio, tuning, FM, DAB, and you can even connect your phone to it, and aux, because in the cupboard next to it, you've got this little radio module. You've got the plug-in for 12 volt speakers, control, antenna in, and aux. Okay, so super simple to use on that panel. Now occasionally when you do use the Swift Command panel, it may be a case that you have to recalibrate it. Sometimes the screen does sort of freeze up on you. So what you have to do in that scenario is press and hold in, like you're turning the actual panel off. Hear it beep to turn itself off, but do not take your finger/thumb off the actual power button. You need to keep it on, and what it's going to flash to eventually is a blue screen. So we've just got to wait, just keep your finger on. It can take a fair few, touch the dots to calibrate. Bing, bang, boom, calibrated. Turn the panel back on, and it's now working again. And then to turn this off, you could do that as a simple one, or press and hold it in until it beeps, and that's the panel off. And just here we have your Truma control panel. So right now it shows the time and that mains is plugged in. However, it's not 20 minutes to 1 in the morning. I've just had it on for 30 minutes. You've got a dial, which is also a select button, and then a back button. So let's press in, you come to this screen. So first up, we have the Caravan with the thermometer in it. Press in on the dial, and this is for the internal temperature. This goes up to a maximum of 30, and it starts at 5. Let's say I want to select 13, press in, and it's selected. You can see flame has come up on the top. Next to that, we have water temperature. So we can either have it off, eco, which will get it to about 40 degrees, hot, which will get it to about 60, or boost. Now what boost does, it prioritizes heating the actual water over heating the Caravan itself, and that lasts for about 30 minutes. After those 30 minutes, it will then drop itself back down to eco. As I've not selected anything, it's not come up on the top. Next, we have energy source. So we can either use strictly gas, a mixture of gas and 1 kilowatt, mixture of gas and 2 kilowatt, electric with 1, or electric with 2. So you've got the choice of gas, mains, or both. We then have fan speed, which is either eco or high. Eco is nice and steady, high is a lot more vigorous. But if we don't have the heating on at all, if it's a day like today where you're sweating like a pig, you can go over, turn the heating off, press in, and you can have vent. Now what vent does, you have your vents where it can push out the hot air, but it can also just push out air as standard. So you could have all your windows open and you can have some nice fresh air come in. Then we have a timer, which is for when you'd like the heating and hot water to start and end. So you first input the time and date for, well, sorry, the hours then minute for the start, and then the hours then minute for the end. And then next to that, we have the correct time. So it's a 24-hour clock. However, when you completely shut down the van, it will turn the time back to 00. And then we have settings: offset, temperature, brightness, 12 or 24-hour clock, language, index, and reset. Now, I'm not going to go through that if we set this to what we believe the most user-friendly panel to use. However, if you'd like to have a look inside your book packs, then please do so. Then to turn this panel off, press and hold in continually, and turns itself off. Make sure you do that before you turn this panel off, because you can sometimes get an error code for an improper shutdown. Now, as you can see here, you've got a nice steady continuous stream. You may get the occasional cough and splutter. That is just a bit of residual air that's in the system, but this is what you're after: nice, steady and continuous. So you want to let this run for about 30 seconds. If you do get multiple coughs, check your drain valve, check the seal, check the pump, just make sure that they're all working. You want to let it run for about 30 seconds. So that's coming up to 30 seconds around about now. So you'd want to turn that off there, and the water is being pulled through correctly. Now, if you're wanting to check your other taps because you're going to use them, do that. Then once you're finished, press off on the pump here. So there is no more blue border now, it is just as it is. And then flick up your drain valve. And what I'd also recommend as well on top of that is opening up the tap that you have used, as a bit of residual water will drip out. Then when you do come to use it, first switch down the pump, switch down your tap, and then press the pump button in. Hob grill and oven all works on gas in this scenario. All you have to do, press into the side, twist it in, and then press in your igniter. Now, it may be a case that when you come to use this, it may light and then cut off, or it may take a while to light. Completely natural when you first come to use it, as it's the gas making its way through the system. This is what it looks like when they're all lit. As you can see, all burners nice and lit just there. Then it's going to be your same concept for your grill. As you can see, both sides nice and lit. And finally, your oven. Now for your oven, make sure that this tray does not intrude on the actual igniter. So again, press it in, twist to the side, and you can see it's all nice and lit just there. Now, the only other real thing to note is that whilst you're travelling, you need to have this glass sheet down, but don't put it down until all burners are cold to the touch. And any time that you are travelling, make sure the gas bottle itself is off. Then here we have fridge operation. So you have child lock on the top and on the bottom, and then, I mean, it's defeated me already. And then you can see lights are currently off. Now, you don't want to turn on the fridge with the door open, as it can trip itself out. To turn it on, press and hold in this far most left button, and it goes to the most previous history, which in this case is gas on full capacity. Now for gas, I'd recommend running through your hob grill and oven first to make sure that everything is lighting correctly. You don't have to do anything for this. Once you've selected gas, it will automatically do everything itself. I can change the mode by pressing the mode button, then goes to mains. Press it again, goes to auto, and auto chooses mains as the best source to use. The next one it's going to go to is that battery symbol. The battery symbol is only representative of 13-pin electric whilst towing, so when I press it over, it's going to give me a hazard. So let's just go back over to mains. We then have the amount of power coming into the fridge, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. 5 being the most powerful, so it is going to chill it the quickest. However, even on full capacity, it is going to take around 4 hours to fully chill it. Then as well, again, I've been defeated by the fridge. When the fridge is on, you do have a couple of lights on the side. Then when you want to turn this off, press and hold in, turns the fridge off. Toilet operation. Pressing the button on the top, and you can hear that gentle whir. That is the pump that will push around any water that is inside the system. To release the waste, what you'll want to do is press away this handle, opens up the catch, and then pull it back towards you, so that drops the waste in, and then pull it back towards you so you're actually able to remove the cassette. When the cassette is full, there's a red light on there telling you to empty.